So Thursday night, I went to see American Sniper, and it was kind of a weird night. I got a free pass to see a movie that I'd never heard of called To the Wall, and I didn't know anything at all about it. And then I did my research, and I found out it came from Pureflix Entertainment. And Pureflix Entertainment, if you don't know, they're the ones that put out the Christian movies, the October Baby and God's Not Dead, Heaven's for Real and all that. They figured out how to make movies with a good intention, but they haven't figured out how to make them good. To the Wall is not any better. But I'll talk about that in another video. So immediately after that was over, I felt like I had to kind of cleanse my palate. I don't mean to sound pretentious, but I had to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. So I went to the 10:15 showing of American Sniper. And this was the Thursday before it opened. I believe that was on the 16th, 15th, 16th. This is being recorded on the 21st, the Wednesday after all of that. And I'm kind of glad I waited because, as you know, there's been a lot of talk about this movie in the news lately. It was the #1 movie over the weekend, and deservedly so, based on all the stuff that opened. And it's had time to kind of marinate in my mind, and I'm really glad it has, because I think this is a damn good movie. This is a really, really good movie. And the more it's had time to sort of sink in my mind, the better it's gotten. When I saw it, I really loved it. I really did. But as time has gone on, it's actually gotten better. I don't know if you know the story, but basically, American Sniper is about Chris Kyle, who was supposedly... Now, I don't know this story, except for some sort of sideways research. Chris Kyle was a Navy SEAL sniper who did 4 tours in Iraq, and made history by having supposedly 160 confirmed kills. And this movie is his story, But what's interesting about it is that it's not just a war movie. It's a story about what happens when the men come home, what they go through in the battlefield. And I think they do a really, really good job dealing with the personality of this Chris Kyle. Now, I have no idea if the story is accurate or not. I just saw a really entertaining movie. So Bradley Cooper plays Chris Kyle, and he comes from Texas, and he is instilled by his father with a very strict, firm moral code. And he tells us, there's a scene where Chris is a little boy, and he's sitting at the table, and his father says, "Don't be the wolf and don't be the sheep." And I like that idea. But he grows up with a very strict, straightforward American value. And he joins the rodeo. He's not very good at it. His life's kind of going nowhere. And then the terrorist attacks happen in Nairobi, and he decides to join the Navy. The SEALs, actually, more specifically. So, after 9/11, he starts doing these tours of duty in Iraq as a sniper. And what I love about the scenes in Iraq is that it shows the day-to-day. Yeah, there are action scenes, and yeah, some of them are a little cliched. The scenes in Iraq are really just the day-to-day, what a soldier goes through in the field, how they do their job. There's a scene where nothing's going on. There's just a scene where he's on a rooftop and he's looking through a sniper rifle, and there's just nothing going on the ground, and he just decides to pack it up and go do something else. I didn't know he could do that, but then he comes home and he's married this wonderful woman. And what's interesting is the dynamic in their relationship, because he doesn't bring the job home, and he leaves it. He doesn't talk about it, and he's clearly going through some really hard PTSD, and he doesn't seek help. He doesn't talk about it, and I think that's rooted. And I don't mean to stir anybody up, but that's really rooted in the character of the American male. Old school, I guess. That man protects his family. He doesn't bring the job home. He leaves it where it is. And this is a movie very much rooted in the American character. The servicemen see their job as just that. I'm not here to win a war, I'm here to do my job. Do my job and go home. But it's such an unusual set of circumstances that when they get home, it's such a foreign concept to be home after doing their tour of duty and they haven't finished the job. At least that's what I got from it. And it's a very well-told story in the fact that Bradley Cooper, who plays this role. Now, I've never really thought about Bradley Cooper as much of an actor. I mean, I liked him before, but I never really saw any greatness in him until this. He does a lot of really great things with this performance in what he doesn't say. There are a lot of scenes that could be spoiled by just him ranting and raving or going into a lot of dialogue. But this is a man who has learned how not to express those kinds of emotions. And he doesn't have, his wife keeps saying, relate to me, talk to me. And he won't do it. Because what he goes through in Iraq, he doesn't want to bring it home. They build a relationship with the wife really, really well. They meet in a bar, and they don't talk to each other in cliches. When they meet in this bar, she's tired of one serviceman after another coming up to her, and she blows him off, and he tries to get with her on an intellectual level, and get by on his charm also. They get married, they have 2 children, and I think it's Sienna Miller plays the wife, and it's kind of a thankless role, but there is a connection between the two of them. There's a nice connection. She's worried about him. She fears for him. She worries that he's not talking about what he's going through. She worries about what he goes through when he goes over there, and she worries about what happens to him when he gets home. So it's a really good, I don't know how to say this. It's a really nice portrait of a connection between a man and a wife. And I really felt their relationship. If I didn't, then the movie wouldn't work. But it's always important to remember in this film that the job that he's doing is a set of unusual circumstances. And all the things that he goes through, he's keeping it indoors, keeping it in here. And like I said, a lot of the performance is not based on what he says, but what he doesn't say. It's best in its quiet moments. Because This is a man who has to go to Iraq, look through a sniper's rifle, and decide whether or not to kill a kid who's about to throw a grenade at a convoy full of soldiers. These are the kinds of things he has to do. And he has to kill men, women, and children. And his defense against it is to block it. To say, hey, I'm there to do my job. I'm not there to, win a war. And so, with that, it's a very good, quietly effective performance. A lot of people have had a difference of opinion about this. But it's a very well modulated performance. This movie was directed by Clint Eastwood, whose movies, to me, are always about more than they're just about. There's always more than just one level. He doesn't just make entertainment. He makes character pieces, whether it's Unforgiven or $1 Million Baby or Changeling. There's always more going on than just what's on the surface. And my battery's about to run out, so I'll see you over on part 2.